Blessing Christian Lifestyle. Thank you for being on. All right, I really appreciate it. Today, I don't know, think about just reading the book of Psalms for a little bit, and then we can continue reading the Old Testament and maybe some New Testament. All right, so I just want to get on here and just see how everything's going. All right, if anybody has any questions or anything about the Bible, anything from what we read this week, we read Genesis chapter 1 all the way to 30, I believe. All right, we're about to go into Joseph. All right, so actually, let me see. Let's do some Old Testament here. So we went over yesterday. Jacob, all right, pretty much negotiating with his father-in-law, his new father-in-law Laban, and Laban hustles Jacob. Which remember, Jacob was a hustler. Jacob would deceive his brother. All right, and in this case, Laban, his father-in-law, deceits him. All right, he tricks him. He tells him, "Hey, well, first off, Jacob finds his daughter interesting, his second daughter, right, Rachel, right, and this is important because Rachel is the one that's going to give birth to Joseph, who the book of Genesis ends with, all right, the story of Joseph, all right. So that's where we're headed, and in exchange, Jacob worked 7 years, right, 7 years for his father-in-law to get Rachel. And when those 7 years are up, he actually gives him his firstborn, which is Leah. All right, he gives him Leah, and he's like, "Well, I can't give you my secondborn if if my firstborn isn't married yet." So he tricks him, gives him Leah. They have children together, and he works another 7 years to get Rachel. Right, and remember, in this time period, he's just having babies. All right, he's just boring sons, having babies. They're just building the descendants of Abraham. All right, and fulfilling the covenant, which is the circumcision. All right, so that's very, very important because that's going to be very, very important in the New Testament. First off, how's everybody doing? Thank you for being on. How's everybody doing? All right, it's Friday evening, about 10 o'clock. I was going to get on here earlier. I did some errands with my wife and I spent some time with them. Man, I try to spend as much time as I can with them. And then I just asked my wife, like, "Hey, do you mind if I do it live? Because, you know, it takes time away from her. So I make sure, like, hey, everything's good. All right, I make sure, whatever needs to get done gets done. And then here I am, all right, doing it live. Thank you very much. Um, let's just go into. All right, so we go through Jacob. He's trying to leave his father-in-law. All right, chapter 31 of Genesis. Jacob is trying to leave his father-in-law, who is just hustling him. He for free labor. All right, his father-in-law just wants free labor. Man, that is tough. Also, we realize that his father-in-law knows something about Jacob. He knows that he is blessed. He's like, "Hey, he's blessed. You know what?" So that's why he gets 14 years of pretty much free labor out of Jacob, and his livestock becomes blessed. All right, so he's taking advantage of Jacob's blessing, right? Jacob's favor with God. That is very important, all right? Remember, yesterday I also mentioned that we need to meditate on the word, all right? And one thing to meditate on is how Jacob had favor with God, right? Jacob had a lot of favor with God. Pretty much everything he touched, like, multiplied. And his father in law knew that. And he was using them for it, which is, he shouldn't use people, but he was using Jacob, right? And when it was time for Jacob to leave, he revealed to him, like, "Hey, like, could you stay a little longer? Since you've been here, pretty much everything's multiplied. I forgot. I think it was 100-fold. All right. So that's something that's very important to note. Um, Jacob sent and called Rachel and Leah to the field to his flock. So he had children with Rachel and Leah, who are siblings, their sisters, and said to them, "I see your father's countenance. This is not favorable towards me as before, but God of my father has been with me. And you know that with all my might I have served your father. Yet your father has deceived me and changed my wages 10 times, but God did not allow him to hurt me." So the father in law deceived Jacob, it says 10 times, but God did not allow him to hurt him. If he said, Thus the speckled shall be your wages, then all the flocks bore speckles. And if said thus, the streak shall be your wages, then all the flocks bore streak. So God has taken away the livestock of your father and given them to me. And it happened at the time when the flocks conceived that I lifted my eyes and saw in a dream, and behold, the rams which leaped upon the flocks were streaked, speckled, and gray spotted. Then the angel of God spoke to me in a dream, saying, Jacob. And I said, Here I am. And he said, Lift your eyes now and see all the rams. Right? So he has a dream. Rams and leap on the flocks are streaked, speckled, and gray spotted. For I have seen all that Laban is doing to you. So God sees all this, right? He sees that Laban is taking advantage of him. And he just, puts that out there. I am the God of Bethel, where you anointed a pillar and where you made a vow to me. Now arise, get out of this land, and return to the land of your family. So, like, hey, it's time to go back to your family. Then Rachel and Leah answered and said to them, Is there still any portion of or inheritance for us in our father's house? Are we not considering strangers by him? For he has sold us and also completely consumed our money. For all these riches which God has taken from our father are really ours and our children now. Then whatever God has said to you, do it. Whatever God has said to you, do it. Then Jacob rose and set sons and his wives of camels, and he carried away all his livestock and all possessions, which stock and all his possessions which he had gained, his acquired livestock which had gained in Padam, stock which he had gained in Padam, Aram, to go his father Isaac in the land of Canaan. Right. Now Laban has gone to shear his sheep, and Rachel has stolen the household idols that were her father's. And Jacob stole away unknown to Laban the Syrian, and that he did not tell him what he intended to flee. So he fled with all that he had. He arose, crossed the river, and headed towards the mountains of Gilead. And Laban was told on the third day that Jacob had fled. Then he took his brethren with him and pursued him for 7 days' journey, and he overtook him in the mountains of Gilead. Laban was told on the third day that Jacob had fled. So he's trying to find his son in law. That he took his brethren with him and pursued him for 7 days' journey. But God had come to Laban the Syrian in a dream by night and said to him, Be careful that you speak to Jacob, neither good nor bad. So Laban overtook Jacob. Now Jacob had pitched his tent in the mountains, and Laban with his brethren pitched in the mountains of Gilead. And Laban said to Jacob, What have you done, that you have stolen away unknown to me, and carried away my daughters like captives taken with sword? Why did you flee away secretly and steal away from me, and not tell me? For I might have sent you away with joy and songs. So it's a huge, like I said, he's just hustling a lot. So he's like, why didn't you tell me you were leaving? Like, he's literally just fleeing away, right? Because he's been used this whole time with tremble and heart. And you did not allow me to kiss my sons and my daughters. Now you have done foolishly in so doing. It is in my power to do you harm, but the God of your fathers spoke to me last night, saying, Be careful what you speak to Jacob, neither good or bad. And now you have surely gone because you greatly long for your father's house. But why did you steal my gods? Then Jacob answered and said to Laban, Because I was afraid, for I said, Perhaps you would take your daughters away from me by force. When whoever you find your gods, do not let him live. In the presence of brethren, identify what I have of yours and take it with you. For Jacob did not know that Rachel had stolen them. And that Laban went into Jacob's tent, into Leah's tent, and unto two maids' tent, but he did not find them. Then he went out of Leah's tent and entered Rachel's tent. Now Rachel had taken the household idols. Right? Rachel was carrying idols, put them in a camel's saddle, and sat on them. And Laban searched all about the tent, but did not find them. And she said to her father, Let it not displease my lord, that I can not rise before you, for the manner of woman is with me. And he searched, but did not find the household idols. Then Jacob was angry and rebuked Laban. And Jacob answered and said to Laban, What is my trespass? What is my sin, that you have so hotly pursued me? Although you have searched all my things, what part of your household things have you found? Set it here before my brethren and your brethren, so that they may judge between us both. These 20 years I have been with you, your ewes and your female goats have not miscarried their young, and I have not eaten the rams of your flock. That which was torn by beasts I did not bring to you. I bore the loss of it. You required it from my hand, whether stolen by day or stolen by night. There I was in the day of the drought, consumed me, and frost by night, and my sleep departed from my eyes. Thus I have been in your house 20 years. I served you 14 years for your 2 daughters, and 6 years for your flock. Right? And I have changed my wages 10 times. Unless the God of my father, the God of Abraham, and the fear of Isaac had been with me, surely now would have sent me away empty handed. God has been affliction and the labor of my hand and rebuked you last night. All right, so this is Jacob, his Jacob and Laban, his father in law. All right, this is the conflict between them. It's like, hey, I give you free labor for 20 years. All right, 14 years for your daughters and 6 for your cattle. So here we go. Laban's covenant with Jacob. All right. Here we go. And Laban answered and said to Jacob, "These daughters are my daughters, and these children are my children, and this flock is my flock, and all that you see is mine. But what can I do this day to these my daughter or their children whom they have borne? Now therefore come, let us make a covenant, you and I, let it be witness between you and me." So here's another covenant. So Jacob took a stone and set it up as a pillar. Then Jacob said to his brethren, "Gather stones." And they took stones and made a heap, and they ate there on the heap. Laban called it Jager, Sahuta, but Jacob called it Gilead. And Laban said, "This heap is a witness between you and me this day." Therefore its name was called Gilead. Also Mizpah, because he said, "May the Lord watch between you and me when we are absent one from another. If you afflict my daughter, or if you take others' wives besides mine, our daughter, although no man is with us, see, God is witness between you and me." Then Laban said to Jacob, "Here, this is heap, and there is a pillar which I have placed between you and me. The heap is a witness, and the pillar is a witness that I will not pass beyond this heap to you, and you will not pass beyond the heap and this pillar to me for harm. The God of Abraham, the God of Nahor, and the God of their father judge between us." And Jacob swore by the fear of his father Isaac. Then Jacob offered a sacrifice on the mountain and called his brethren to eat bread. And they ate bread and stayed all night on the mountains. And early in the morning, Laban arose and kissed his sons and daughters and blessed them. Then Laban departed and returned to his place. So that was a story pretty much of Jacob and Laban, his father-in-law, witness and his pillar. So here, then Laban said to Jacob, "Here is the heap I have placed between you and me. This heap is a witness, and a pillar is a witness that I will not pass beyond the heap to you, and you will not pass beyond the heap and this pillar to me for harm." So they're promising not to harm each other. The God of Abraham, fear of his, and Jacob swore by the fear of his father Isaac. Then Jacob offered a sacrifice. "This heap is a witness between you and me this day. Therefore, the name is called. May the Lord watch between you and me when we are absent one from another." Then Jacob said to the brethren, "Gather stones." All right, so they made a covenant here. All right, pretty much not to harm each other. There's a lot of tension. Hey, how you doing, Mark Fitzgerald? How's it going? Thank you for being on. All right, I know it's 10:26 over here. Thank you for being on. I know it's kind of late. All right, so Jacob had a lot of conflict with his father-in-law. All right, how's everything going? Let me see. So I just finished reading Genesis chapter 31. I'm about to go into 32. Esau comes to meet Jacob. All right, so Esau's older brother is about to meet Jacob. All right. Do you have any questions, by the way? Let me see here. 32. So Jacob went on his way, and the angels of God met him. When Jacob saw that, he said, "This is God's camp," and he called the name of that place Mespenim. Then Jacob sent messengers before him to Esau his brother in the land of Seir, the country of Edom, and he commanded them, saying, "Speak thus to my lord Esau. Thus your servant Jacob says, I have dwelt with Laban and stayed there until now. I have oxen, donkey, flocks, and male and female servants, and I have sent." No problem. Trying to reading the word. Thank you for reading the word. Oh yeah, no problem. Something I think one of the hardest things is building a routine to read the word. It's really building that routine. That daily routine. I used to listen to it a lot. I would listen to the word for about three, I'm saying like 2 3 hours a day, and then I was like, man, I'm gonna start reading it. I mean, so I already kind of read it already, but I'm reading it over again. But it's building that routine, which is actually the hardest part. Is starting the routine and then keeping the routine. So that's one thing I'm trying to show on here is that, hey, you know you sometimes it's like you don't want to do it, but it's like, no, I'm gonna do it. Like, all right, even if it's for a little bit, even if it's a chapter or 2 chapters, and believe it or not, a lot of times you just keep going, and it's like 5 chapters in. It's just like, man, it's a good read regardless. I'm also meditating on the word, so that's kind of what yeah, exactly. Yeah, and then also meditating on the word, like, just thinking about what you just read. Like right here, we just read about conflict between Jacob and his father-in-law. It's like, man, I know I've had conflicts with my father-in-law in the past. We're good now, but so it's just like a quick meditating on the word. And then now we're about to do Jacob and Esau, which is conflict with your older brother. Younger brother and older brother rivalry. So that's what's gonna happen there. Jacob and Esau. Jacob and Esau meet. It's 33. Yeah. So eventually, I'm trying to get to Joseph, which is chapter 37. So I still have about 4 more chapters. Yeah. So I'm just gonna keep. So chapter 32 of Genesis. So Jacob went on his way, and the angels of God met him. When Jacob saw them, he said, "This is God's camp," and he called the name of that place Mahanaim. Then Jacob sent a messenger before him to Esau his brother in the land of Seir, the country of Edom. And he commanded them, saying, "Speak thus to my lord Esau, thus your servant Jacob says, I have dealt with Laban and stayed there until now. I have oxen, donkey, flocks, and male and female servants, and I have sent to tell my lord that I may find favor in your sight." Then the messenger returned to Jacob, saying, "We came to your brother Esau, and he also is coming to meet you, and 400 men are with him." So Esau has 400 men. I'm on Nehemiah. Nehemiah, that's actually a very interesting reading. That's after that actually comes after the book of Daniel, Nehemiah. All right, building the temple, rebuilding the temple, which is the one that Jesus went to. So that's actually a very interesting read. Nehemiah, man, I haven't read Nehemiah or Ezra. Ezra and Nehemiah, man, that's awesome. Um, yeah, I just remember Daniel. They're in Babylon, and then part of leaving Babylon is Ezra and Nehemiah. So yeah, it's in that order. Here we go, and the commanded saying, let me see here. All right, so I have Esau is gonna meet Jacob, and he's bringing. We came to our brother Esau, and he's coming to meet you, and 400 men are with you. You have any questions on Nehemiah? That's actually very interesting. It's been a while. It got me curious. Nehemiah. I haven't looked at Nehemiah, and it's probably been a year now. I'll take a quick look. Thank you for putting that out there. Rebuilding the wall. We got Nehemiah sent. I'm just gonna do a quick skim through Nehemiah. Prays the word of Nehemiah, the son of. It came to pass the month of the 20th year, as and they said to me, "The survivor who left are from captivity. The province are from distress. The wall of Jerusalem is also broken, and the gates are burned." All right, so the temple had been burned. They're like, okay, they're gonna rebuild the temple here. And I heard these words and mourned for many days. All right, so we coming from Ezra. So this is after Ezra. Ezra, they're trying to. I'm on chapter 7. All right, let's take a look. Let me see. Let me just get the wall of Jerusalem, rebuilding the wall. Man, that is huge. The wall defends the enemies. All right, they build a wall. Conspiracy against Nehemiah. That's actually one of my favorite parts right there. So they're trying to distract him. On chapter 6, they're trying to distract Nehemiah from making the temple. And they're trying to come up with excuses to stop him. It says 6:3. So I sent a messenger to them saying, "I am doing a great work so that I cannot come down. Why should the work cease while I leave it and go down to you?" So I was like, "Hey, let's have a meeting, and come all the way down here so we can have this meeting. And Nehemiah is just trying to stay focused on the building the temple. It's like they're literally just trying to distract him. That's actually pretty funny. So one of the huge things about Nehemiah is about not getting distracted when you're doing God's work, right? Like avoiding distraction, right? That's huge. Nehemiah is huge on that. I mean, if Nehemiah was distracted, he wouldn't build a temple, which is a big thing. So yeah, that is huge. So they're trying to distract Nehemiah on chapter 6. Let me see. And it was written, it's reported among the nations and just that they are, and the Jews plan to rebel. So they're making up like, oh, they're planning on rebelling. According to these rumors, you are rebuilding the wall that you may be their king. So like, hey, you're trying to be a king. You're trying to do this. They're starting rumors. All right, that is. And you have also appointed prophets to proclaim concerning you at Jerusalem, saying, there is a king in Judah. Now the matters will be reported to the king to come, therefore, and let us consult together. So they're like, oh, they're trying to take over there. They're building a temple. They're trying to come up with a king. They're trying to do this. Like, they're trying to get people against Nehemiah. That's on chapter 6, verse 6. Then I sent him saying, no such thing as you say are being done, but you invent them in your own heart. For they all were trying to make us afraid, saying their hands will be weakened and the work, and it will not be done. And therefore, oh God, strengthen my hand. So it's like, avoiding those distractions. They're starting rumors against Nehemiah. They're like, hey, he's doing this, he's doing that. It's like, there's no such thing, all right? Like, so that's chapter 6. Let me see, 6 verse 15, the wall's completed. So the wall was finished on the 25th day of Elul in the 52 days. And it happened when all our enemies heard of it and all the nations around us saw these things that they were very disheartened in their own eyes. For they perceived that the work was done by our God. Also in those days, the nobles of Judah sent many letters to Tobiah, and the letters of Tobiah came to them. For many in Judah were pledged to him because he was the son-in-law of uh, Shenia, the son of Era, and the son of Jehonan, and married the daughter of Mesulam, the son of Bershia. Also they reported his God deeds before me, and reported my words to him. Tobiah sent letters to frighten me. So he's talking about like, yeah, building the third temple. Yeah, that's huge. I have not looked it up lately, but yeah. So remember, one of my videos I was talking about how that's actually one way to keep track of the timeline. All right, because remember that we got the Antichrist at some point, but you can't have an Antichrist if you don't have the temple built. So once the temple is being built, like it's more near, and Jesus is coming soon. Especially if once the temple gets built, we should. That's a sign that, hey, you know, Jesus is coming soon, because the Antichrist he's gonna favor Israel all the way to the end, and then he's gonna do he's gonna turn on them. So let me see. I'm gonna look that up real quick. Jerusalem temple. Yeah, so this temple is the one the second temple that Nehemiah is building is the one Jesus says there will not be one stone upon another, and it gets burned down. If you watch the Chosen, the new movie, there's actually a scene where he he looks into the future, and the temple is being burned down by the Romans, and he's like heartbroken. He's like, oh, Jerusalem, like, and you just and that's like, man, that's crazy. The holy temple was burned down. Uh, Holy temple refers to, let me see here. So the central place of worship, Israel, Jews, and a Jerusalem temple being built. Let me see what I can find real quick. There's no current construction of the third temple in Jerusalem. Some the temple institutes are actively preparing for its future construction, including preparing temple-related utensils. So yeah, they're trying to get everything together to start building it. So that's what they're doing right now. Um, so we have the temple being built. Where's the temple built? The temple is built on, was it Kings? I want to say it's in the book of Kings. And then we're having here Nehemiah. So we're having the temple built. I want to say First Kings the temple is built. Or is it Samuel 2? I don't know, but there's a huge, yeah, he's going to be signing a peace treaty in Israel. Yeah, so, like, hey, peace. And then he's pretty much gonna stop that. He's gonna turn from that peace treaty. So that's going to be huge. So that's one of those signs of, hey, the Antichrist is near. Especially that peace treaty. He's going to be all about Israel. Like, hey, I'm all for you. Let's build a temple and anything I can help you with. But really, it's for his own, for his own regard, for his own selfish reasons. And then he's going to claim to be God. And it's like, oh, because we got to remember that, the Jewish, they don't believe that the Messiah has came, so they're gonna be like, oh, the Messiah is finally here, you know, and we all know he's not the Messiah. So yeah, so let's see, chapter 7. Then it was when the wall was built and had hung the doors, when the gatekeeper, the singers, and the Levites had been appointed. All right, so you got to have the Levites appointed. That I gave the charge of Jerusalem to my brother and Hananiah, leader of the. And I said to them, do not let the gates of Jerusalem be open until the sun is hot, and when they stand guard, let them shut and bar the doors, and appoint guards from among the inhabitants of Jerusalem, one at his watch station and another in front of his house. Now the city was large and spacious, but people in it were few, and the house were not rebuilt. So they built the temple, but there's still not a lot of people. So you got to remember, they're actually in Babylon at this moment. All right, so they're in Babylon from the book of Daniel, the 70 years in Babylon. All right, captives. Then my God put into my heart to gather the nobles, the rulers, and the people that they might be registered by genealogy. So a common theme in the Bible is genealogy. It's like, hey, all right, who was born after who? So there, you got to have that history. Who had come up in the first return and found written in it. These are the people of the province who came back from captivity, of those who had been carried away by Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylon, had carried away, and who returned to Jerusalem and Judah, everyone to his city. Those who came with Zerubbabel, with Jeshua, Nehemiah, Ramai, and Bana. So there's a bunch of names. Elam. All right, let me see if I could recognize some of these names. Who came with Zerubbabel? So we got Zerubbabel, Nehemiah, Remiah, Nehemani. I got Mordecai. Mordecai is the book of Esther. Book of Esther, Mordecai. I don't think that's the same Mordecai though. Nahum. It's always a Nahum. Here we go. The sons of 102 sons of Era, the sons of Jeshua and Joab. 18 sons of Elam, son of Elam, sons of Zatu, Zakai, sons of the sons of so I don't recognize a lot of these names. I got Hezekiah, the sons of Ader and Hezekiah. I recognize Hezekiah, the sons of Hashem, 324. The sons of Araphat, 112. The sons of Gibeon, 95. Man, that's a lot of names. There we go. The men of Bethlehem, 188. So we got the men of Bethlehem. All right, that's huge. Bethlehem, that's where Jesus is going to be born. So we got 188. The men of, and so the amount of people per city, I guess. Elam, 1,000. So we have so that one's huge. Bethlehem, 188. So they're starting off real small here. The priest, the son of Judea, and the house of Joshua, the sons of Immer, the sons of Haram, gatekeeper, the sons of Hannah, sons of Hetil. These were the ones. Man, that's a lot. That's a lot of names. We got, all right. The feast of the term. Now all the people gathered together as one man and open in front of the water. Ezra, scribe, being the book. All right, so yeah, I'm gonna end it at that. I'll probably start another one in a bit.